Welcome everyone to Nippon Connection Online. This is the 20th anniversary edition of our Japanese Film Festival. My name is Maxi Himsel. I'm part of the film programming team. And today I'm very happy and excited to have with me filmmaker Naomi Mizoguchi. Hello, Naomi.
Hello, Maxi. How are
Hey.
you?
I'm great. How are you doing in this pandemic time?
Yeah, actually, I used to it. I know, how to disinfect. I know, how I should be careful about. So, and it's been 2 months, over 2 months. So I'm good. And then now I'm used to it.
Yeah, I think everyone got used to it after such a long time. Um, your film, your documentary film, AINU, Indigenous People of Japan, is screening online on
Mhm.
our homepage from June 9th to June 14th. And before I get into that, because that's a topic that is very dear to my heart, that's also the reason why I wanted to talk to you. Um, is how has the pandemic affected your work? Like, did you have any productions that have been canceled, or could you work from home?
I see. I am the one of the luckiest one, probably in the world, I feel like. After I finished this film, I've been working here in New York, right? So I'm going back and forth, and since 2004, I've been working. I became interested in community media. That's kind of my biggest interest in the past two decades or so. And I found the Community Media Center, one of the oldest ones in the US, which is called Downtown Community Television Center. So I came here because of it's called DCTV for short. So that's why I came to the US, and it's established by American guy, and the his wife is Japanese woman. So I read her book and I started interested. And then so I've been going back and forth in that production organization. That organization, it's a nonprofit organization, and I started interning. And at some point, I got a work visa through them. And but I being a freelancer, then kind of back and forth. And then after this film, I got a job from that organization for a commercial video, or like kind of community video. It's there too, and one of them is for TV. So I have worked. It's not finished yet. So I have worked as an assistant editor, and then it's been 2 years. It's a long production. I'm sorry, can I talk a little bit about it?
No, go on. Sure.
Sorry. So the founder and the director, Joe Alpart, shot a documentary about the drug addict for over almost 40 years. So that's the project I've been working for 2 years. And then this happened. Oh, the other thing is the global warming through ice hockey. So he goes around the world with the camera, and then do the hockey, and then exploring about what is going on in terms of global warming in many countries like Kenya, the Russia, uh, Finland, something like that. So I have two projects, and I live nearby, like only 10 minutes or so. So I am the only one I can walk to that place. So I was able to work, but I stopped for 2 weeks, some reasons, and then I started working twice a week, maybe in mid-April, and since last week I started working 5 days a week.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. So you're back to work, and you were basically the only one who could work because you were living so close. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Now
Uh,
I'm editing,
yeah, editing.
remotely.
Okay.
That's
You,
so
you
interesting. It's a technology.
right. That's also like a great
Mhm.
way or the reason why we couldn't do this online because of technology. Fortunately. Um, but of course, it would have been nicer to have you in
Mhm.
person at our festival. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, that's so great. Okay, so in your very wonderful video message, you said that uh, you made this film, although you're not Ainu, you're Japanese. So how did this idea come about? Like, what got you into Ainu culture?
Okay, I tried to talk short. um, I have worked with indigenous people from 2008 to 2014 through I co-established a nonprofit organization. It's called Senemenga, and we bring cameras and equipment, and then we go there and teach how to use these equipment and work together, something what they want to make. So that's I did with the indigenous people in Colombia, in Ecuador, and in Nepal. And then while working, I have a colleague who is also the filmmaker, and then the other person who mostly work for like distribution, indigenous film. And then she asked me, so you're Japanese. I know there's a people, indigenous people in Japan. It's called Ainu, and it was 2008. I do remember. And she asked me how they're living and what they're doing, and I have no answer. I have no idea what they're doing. So I feel like, oh, it's kind of embarrassing, you know. I don't know anything about the indigenous people in my home country. So I started going there just to learn what they're doing. So I didn't go there to make a film. So that was later on.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's really interesting. I think on the website of your film, you also said that you were living with an Ainu couple for a long time. Was
Yep.
that part of your research, or did you go there and already film like from the start?
Mm. This is also kind of coincidence in a way. It's kind of interesting. So first time I went there and I observed Ain language class, and then I say goodbye, thank you, and I didn't know anyone. I just say thank you and goodbye. I go to my hotel, things like that. And then this guy, one of my subjects later on, it's also a coincidence, but he started talking to me. The cousin of son said, "Hey, you're not familiar. Where are you from?" And I said, "Oh." I didn't say New York. I said, it's from Hyogo. And then he said, "Oh, if you want to keep learning, come back." And then I said, very honestly, "Well, you know what? I'm not so rich. And that actually I live in New York. It takes, it costs me a lot. And I don't think I can come often, but I promise you I'm going to come back and keep in touch." And then that year I went to Colombia. And then I had to come back to Japan because it was the middle of renewing my visa, so I was not able to come into US, so I had to wait my visa. So it was like February, and then I knew there was a festival in that town, so I called that guy, Kazunobu-san. "Hey, I don't know you remember me. I don't know if you said that, but you told me I can stay in your home." Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell you that part. So he told me, "You can stay my home." it was only 5-10 minutes after we chat, and
Wow.
then really nobody told me like that. That you don't know me, I don't know you, and why you offer my house, right? And so I called like 4 months later since the first meeting, and then he said, "Oh, I remember you. Oh, just come. Are you sure? Really, really? What about your wife and your, family and the thing? Don't worry, just come." So I went there. So that's how this thing started. Whenever I go, I stayed his house with wife and dogs, and we eat together. And I told him what's going on in Colombia. There's these people like this and that. They were so impressed. Okay, let me let me introduce you to another person, which is the other guy. Nabesawa-san. It's in the film. So let's go to his house, and then we sat and then have a drink, and then so this happens over the course of almost 10 years, right? I think so, 2008 to yeah.
Oh, wow. So it was a 10-year-long process. And at one point, did you decide, okay, let's make a film. Let's talk about their history and about their stories that they have to tell. When did that come up?
Yeah, that was, as I said, this is a coincidence. And then 2014, I left that organization. I became, being my own. And then I wanted to tell them in person, okay, I'm, how do you say, I left that, over the course of that time, 2008 to 2014, I found out some similarity between indigenous people in Japan and Colombia. They don't know each other. It's hard to travel because it's too far away, and it's very expensive to go there, and it's very hard to go to the Colombia, the top of the mountain. You have to take a bus for like over 10 hours. So it's hard for the elders, right? So I was thinking somehow to, have a video exchange, like a video letter or something, to get to know each other in a way. So I was kind of looking for how I can do it. So I've been telling them I want to do this, and I showed some film in Colombia in this little town in Briatore, the Japanese version of the film we made. But I don't do that anymore, because I left. So I wanted to tell them I'm gonna be coming as me, individual, but as a friend or something. And then that year, going back and forth, over the course of 2008 to 2014, one time, I had a little camera with my colleague, and we shot some videos, like how to make this chise old house, or the oral history. I made a Japanese subtitle, so that I thought it's good for them to learn the Ainu language. So it's good. I thought it's useful for them. So I wanted to give them the sample. So I did. And I made a DVD, and then I gave it to City Hall and then museum, blah, blah, blah. And then I asked them, it was 2009. And then it was 2015, I revisited and told them I'm a little, might change. And then the museum, and then I asked them, oh, by the way, I sent you a DVD of this, and then did you see it? And then nobody see it. Actually, they got a mail, it's on the shelf, and that's it. So I showed this video on my laptop, and whatever I did. And then one of the curator at the AINU museum said, oh, this is very impressive. And then he, as a curator, he's been thinking to record these elders, four elders particularly. You know, they were still okay, right? They're in a good health. They've been involving these cultural events and learning language. He wanted to record, and then, but he doesn't know what to do, and he doesn't know how to do it. And then I said, "Oh, these four elders, I know everybody." And then he's like my otosan, right, and my father. So I thought, oh, maybe it's like a calling or something. Something is telling me you should make this film, and I wanted to. I don't know. I thought so. You know, I thought I wanted to make a film, and I proposed. Okay, I think I can do it. You don't know how to do it, but I know how to do it. I know people, and let's collaborate. That's a, you know, again, this community media mentality, or, you know, the philosophy is very important to me. So I really wanted to collaborate, work with them very close, especially I'm an outsider. So the museum, okay, so I do everything. I do camera, I do interview, I do editing, but you gotta help me, you know, communicate with people, or you tell me what else you want to record, so I make something out of it. And then you have to help me the language, like translation and, you know, other things like that. And then I also propose, okay, but I want to give you this raw footage, all of my raw footage, because if something happened to me, this little hard drive, I don't know what you know, my family does, and maybe they throw away. Nothing, right? So I thought it's really important to have this raw material in the museum, so that 50 years later, 100 years later, maybe this food is very meaningful. And plus the final products, I also gave them the screening rights at the museum, so you can do whatever you like. You can show it for free, whatever you like. So that was my proposal, and they liked it.
Yeah, wow, that's great. So you basically brought the technical knowledge, and they helped you with like the cultural knowledge, and then you combine it. That's so great. Wow. So was that at the Nibutani Cultural Museum, or was it?
Yes, AINU Culture Museum. Yep.
Because like I think two cities were mentioned in your film, Biratori and Nibutani.
Oh, okay. Biratori is the name of the town, like New York, right?
Okay, yeah.
And then Nibutani is a region, like Chinatown, Little Italy, something like that.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. So you said that those four elders, I think Ekashi is what they're called in Ainu.
Yeah, Ekashi is the like a grandfather, respected grandfather. So, and the Huchi is a grandmother, respected.
Yeah. So those four people were already very respected in the community, or were like, I don't know. So that's why you chose those four people, because they were, I don't know, the best representatives, or how did you choose exactly those four people? Like you met them, but people also said those four people are important in our community. Is that what happened?
Actually, the museum chose them.
Oh, okay.
So they said, I want to record these four elders, these particular four elders, because they are all in Ainu language class. They are the ones who, you know, come to the event or try to help. So there's a very, how do you say, like, making their efforts for over the, you know, many years. And that So that I heard their names, and then I know everyone. Yeah.
Amazing. I saw in the credits to your film there were a lot of people who also contributed to the footage, like a lot of camera
Mhm.
people, cameramen, camera women. Um, so, how much of your film was your work, and how much did the community do, or did you only function as editor and put it all together, or how did that work out?
So technically, I am the director. I am the producer, and then the camera. So maybe 95% of the new footage is shot by me. And whenever we have like this ship ceremony, like events, we needed two camera. And then I asked the actually I did a workshop for them, how to get the good footage, how you can do better job, something like that. So but they have a little camera, so I asked them, please, I can't be in the boat, and I have to, after this ship thing, I have another event, ceremony. I gotta run, and I do this part, and then the on the boat, I have a little that was my cell phone, and I asked an intern, the boy, I mean the young man, who is going to be on the boat anyway. So I have a shield for the water, and I really wanted to film this turning around thing, because I knew it happened. I know the specific boat that's gonna happen because they chose to do it. It's part of the event for fun, but they don't do that for the elders, right? The people on the ship. So I know this specific boat. So I told this guy, say, okay, you take that boat. It's gonna turn over, and I really wanted to do that footage. So I asked him, give my cell phone and do it. And I have another little camera while the ceremony, because it's only once. So I asked the museum, okay, with the tripod from this side, you just keep shooting, something like that. And the other thing is the winter, like a crane. I cannot be there every day, right? But I wanted to have some seasonal shots, especially this crane. So that's the director of the museum actually shot that crane, and nobody know where it was. He knows where you can shoot that thing. So that's very, how do you say, expert, right? Only the local people know. So that's a good. So other than that, when we had an interview first time, I also did the two camera thing. That's how. And then other than that, I basically shot everything.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if it was you who fell in the water. Yeah, that was interesting. Wow. Okay, so basically, your film is kind of a community effort because everyone was working together, providing knowledge, providing the footage, and shooting like second unit kind of footage and stuff like that. Is amazing. Okay, that's really interesting. Um, so at the beginning, you said you started out by going to a language class,
Mm-hmm.
like AINU language class. For how long did you learn that?
Well, I didn't really learn. I just observed. And then there was, I also learned, they said, okay, let's sit. And then learn together. But the Ainu language is totally different from Japanese. It's a foreign language. So it's very hard to remember. And then, there are some classes, not only one. I only showed it one, but there was a class for the kids, There's another class for like advanced, or there's another class for any people, including outside of the that town. And then he chose the way of learning. It's called Teatarangi. That's the New Zealand Maori's way of learning. So he uses some colored cube, and we are not allowed to talk in Japanese at all. Everything has to be Ainu. And I have to guess what he's talking, right? So I kind of went there to learn Ainu language, but I'm not really good.
Yeah, that's interesting. I heard about that there's a lot of exchange between Maori and Ainu people to, I don't know, so they kind of collaborate to like show ways how to learn the culture and how to immerse the people in the culture. All right, so there are, because in your film you talk about elderly, like the 4 ikashi and 2 ikashi, 2 fuchi, and yeah, but so there is a big participation also of younger people, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's fantastic. What I wanted to ask you also is, because you're going to be part of our special focus panel, Female Futures, that's on Thursday, June 11th at 4 p.m. German time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. How do you see Ainu culture? Is it also like mostly led by women, because we see a lot of women doing the sewing and weaving and doing language class? I think there were, I don't know, maybe it just looked like that, but I saw mostly women in the classes and at the cultural events. How do you see that?
In the language class, I never thought about the gender perspective, but maybe you're right. Mostly women. It happened to be women. I don't know why. There are men too. It's kind of mixed. I don't know. Nowadays, women's are more talkative, or they don't afraid or something like that. Maybe that's why women's so stands out. Maybe, I don't know. And the cultural point of view, there are stuff that men can only do, like ceremony, it's called inau. It's like a curly wood you see in the film. To make that thing from the willow tree, women are not allowed to touch or make. Only men, some reason. And then the weavings are mostly women's job. I don't think there is a man's weaver. I don't think so. But maybe it's not like men are not allowed. Like, if you want to learn, you're welcome to learn, I think. So, but because of the traditional way of living, the weaving or cooking, that tends to be women's job, and then hunting, or some kind of making a house, that kind of job is for men. So yeah.
That's really interesting, because I think it was Hibata-san, like one of the Huchi, said that she was a truck driver.
Yeah.
So I found that very interesting. But yeah, I think there maybe are still, I think to keep the culture alive, I don't know if you have to keep those like traditional roles also alive, but I found it really interesting that there are some things that men do, maybe wood carving, would be something that men do, like, I don't know, carving the ship, the boats.
Oh, the boat.
The boats, yeah.
Yeah, that's usually men.
Mm.
I don't know if it's women allows to. I don't think so. If I say I'm gonna do it, maybe they say, oh, okay. But again, the little thing, the sacred inau that's offers to the spirit, that's only for men. That's the only thing I know of, I think.
Yeah, no, that's interesting aspect because Kibata-san became, I think, the leader or teacher of the language
Yes,
class, right?
yes.
So there are like women leaders just in, I guess, in specific areas like language and art, maybe embroidery or things like that, or weaving. And I guess the male part is like the prayers. I think there was a lot of yeah.
Yeah, they
So
set some
yeah.
boundaries, some specific thing, like, when they have the ceremony around the fire, that's only men, right?
Okay.
And the women's should be on the side. And also there's an interesting thing, there's a window on the east. You can't cross over. Anyone can't cross because it's a road. The spirit comes to this house, and anyone with the camera cannot be on the east side, something like that, on the outside, or cross this boundary, things like that. There are stuff, yeah, rules.
Oh, okay, interesting. Okay, one last question I have, because what you talk about in your film a lot is the important role that Shigeru Kayano had for Ainu culture, and that he also was the first Ainu to be elected into the Diet, I think, Japanese.
Correct.
And he also brought upon a change in legislation. I think it was 1997, the first legislation,
Yeah,
and in 2019, I think was the latest one that like updated the status of Ainu as indigenous people of Japan. So yeah, what you talked about is the status, and what also the elders talked about was their experience with discrimination and racism. And I was wondering because I think it was Kawanano-san in the museum who talked about that he experienced racism, but he is thankful for the Wajin, or for the Japanese people.
Yeah, Wajin is the good term. That's the right term. Because they are also legally, Japanese.
Yeah, right. Right, that's because Ainu are also Japanese citizens, right? Right. So how do you see like the current situation in Japanese society? Do you think there was a change, especially with the new legislation, or do you think there's still some work to be done for working on the image, I guess, of the Ainu, or how they are seen? Is there still problems with discrimination, or what do you think? How is the current situation?
So discrimination is very sensitive and the very important subject as a human rights. And then there's still racism and discrimination exist, I can tell. I heard some stories, okay, that the with and the Kazunobu-san, the Kawanano-san, really think he appreciate Japanese culture. Like, you know, even though he went through so many hardships, but he really thankful. Like, he has car, he has nice house, he has, you know, he's living as a way of Japanese, and he speaks Japanese, and then and that he have me, right? It's not just me. He has many people, you know, who is one of the homestay, like my friends, okay? And they're all Japanese or sometimes foreigners. And so that's his truth feeling. And then in terms of discrimination, it's not their issue, it's our issue. It's the, you know, the people who discriminates, you know, have issues. And with any racism or discrimination thing, because it's one of the reasons is lack of the knowledge. They have some stigma, they have some misconception or something from the, maybe from hear something from people or read something from people, and also the media, you know, commercial media, I think, as I work for commercial media too. And when we make something relate to discrimination, we the commercial media tends to find a very sad story or bad story and only focus on that part, and the majority of the film became that sad story. That's also give audience some misconception or something, some kind of wall. They make wall because of that. But once you get into the community, you find out, oh no, why we're different. I mean, we do have a difference, you know, way of looking or language or culture. We do have a difference, but there is no reason we like discriminate that. We should accept that, and then more have fun, you know, to exchange each other's culture or thing. So one of my goals is to let people know about the beauty of culture and how warm these people are. There's no any difference. Like, it's like listening to your father, grandfather, grandmother, right? So I wanted to break that kind of misconception, because they don't know anything, and there's no reference, there's no resources. And then, and when you read the newspaper, oh yes, Japanese government, you know, recognized Ainu as indigenous people, and then they suffered so long time, and So I don't know. I just try to show people like they're not very different from us, and then become friends, and then go visit. They welcome you, like, you know, like in the film, and then they started talking to you, and that's how you started breaking your stigma or misconception, right? So understanding is the key, and then get interested, you know, from the culture point of view, not these kind of racism point of view. This part of that, I don't want to ignore that. I want people know about it, but I want them to focus on more richness or beauty of it's cool music, you know, it's cool this you know, outfit or pattern. So that's again, that's one of my goals to make this film.
That's a wonderful message, and I hope that many people will see your film on our website from June 9th to June 14th, and maybe also watch your panel discussion on female futures on Thursday. When you visit us again, thank you so much for your time and for your film. I think you do very important work. I hope you can do many, many more projects. And yeah, I just wish you all the best for your future work.
Thank you. It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, bye. Bye-bye.